Today in the seats we have Sanjay Soni, who is a seasoned entrepreneur, business strategist, and a chartered accountant with over 30 years of professional experience. He has founded and co-founded more than 12 startup enterprises and specializes in advising mid-stage investors. Professionally, he's an executive director at the Blacklight Group, focusing on BEE strategy, sustainability advisory, and management consulting. His educational background includes being a chartered accountant with degrees from the University of South Africa as well as the University of KwaZulu-Natal. Thank you so much for your time and thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me this morning.
So you are one who has so much experience in the entrepreneurial space and someone who has a heart for investing and a passion for small businesses. I heard you chatting before the cameras went on. For someone who has founded over 12 startup companies and being an investor, what would you say were the challenges that you faced in the beginning and how did you overcome them?
I think I'm going to sum it down to two big challenges. The first, and entrepreneurs have this greatest challenge, I guess this notion of self-belief. Am I good enough to be in this business and to make a go of it?
Yeah.
And that's a lot to do with your mindset around yourself and how you see yourself. So
sure.
Mindset and just really being super confident about who you are and the space that you're playing in. That, I guess, is the first challenge. The obvious challenge is the money challenge. You know, when you start up a business, you need some cash.
Yeah.
And I guess the second issue is, to what extent are you willing to go that extra mile with limited resources to make a go of your business?
Sure. And how would you say that could be overcome, especially with, being in the startup space? It doesn't even have to be a long-winded question, but how does one overcome that?
So I think there's a couple of things that entrepreneurs need to think about. I think the first thing is each individual has an abundance of capital. It may not be financial capital, but we have an abundance of capital.
Wow.
And so the two big sources of capital that we don't tend to tap in is, number one, our own expertise. Each one in our own rights have a set of expertise.
Sure.
Can you utilize that to your optimal advantage?
Oh, wow.
So that's the first one. And I guess the second one is we each have capital in the form of us knowing other people. And the difficulty around that is, am I brave enough to ask somebody for help, to seek their guidance, to seek their support, to help me move forward in life?
Sure.
My simplest advice to entrepreneurs, ask the question. You will be surprised how many people are willing to help you.
Nice. Wow. I think also we always tend to think that capital, monetary capital is always the biggest or the fastest route to success. And with someone who, you have so much experience, with decades and decades of experience, would you say that, and I'm not saying that there's this quick way to success, but how fast do you think that you would have progressed if you had some sort of a mentor when you started out, and how would that have helped you?
I don't think there's a specific time period, but it certainly shortens your cycle from where you are to getting to some level of success. Whether that's a day, a week, a month, 5 years, one doesn't really know. People actually misconstrue the notion of having a mentor or an advisor. Two big aspects. Number one, they come with a set of skills, experience, expertise that you don't have. And often enough, they actually want to give it to you for free.
Oh, wow.
And why not take advantage of that? So that's sort of the first piece around that. And the second thing is, don't assume you know everything about life. And having that mentor, advisor, support structure means you can lean on other people to sense check yourself. Does this sort of make sense? Am I on the right track? And don't be afraid of that.
Sure. I think you answered my next question in terms of, the importance of mentorship. You hit the nail on the head where you said that, when it comes to the space, we're afraid to ask questions. I always say that, growing up, I always used to say to myself, learn how to ask the simple questions that make you even feel stupid or sound stupid, but there is no stupid question, right?
Absolutely. There is no such thing as a stupid question. There is no such thing as a stupid question. The stupidity is in you not actually asking the question.
True.
And I say this often to lots of people. If you don't ask the question, the answer is always no.
Oh, wow.
And at
So
its
true.
simplest form, you're going to get, in most cases, one of two answers. Yes or no.
True.
A maybe is a yes, because what the maybe says, please give me a bit more information. So they haven't told you no at that point.
Yeah.
They're telling you yes, subject to you giving them more information. They may tell you no down the line, and that's a different conversation. Ask the question.
Nice. I'm going to use that one. So when it comes to seeking out mentors, when would you say is the right time in entrepreneurship or someone who starts out to seek those mentors to get the right information to progress in their careers?
The earlier the better. And not at a point where you have an idea and you think, well, now's the time for me to sense check this with a mentor, right? Do enough work for you to convince yourself that this is an idea that you want to pursue. So at a point where you're starting to put a bit of cash into your business, you're putting a lot more effort into your business, seek out a mentor.
Oh, nice.
And have somebody and more than one mentor and advisor over the journey of your business to help you, because everybody brings something different to the table.
Very true. So as a mentor yourself, I'm sure you get so many requests to be mentored and for people to, be under your wing and guidance. How do you value your time and how do you suss out the people who really just either want to waste your time or someone who might not be ready for mentorship? I don't even know if that could even be a term.
So let me deal with the second part of the question.
Okay.
People need to realize that when you step into a mentorship journey, you need to embrace the journey. And so often enough, people are not ready because in their mind, they don't think they need the mentor, but somebody's told them you need this mentor. Mm-hmm. So you need to prepare yourself for this notion that I'm getting somebody to help me on my journey. They're working with me so that I can be a success. So it's that mental side of it. I guess in terms of the first question around the people that I mentor and what ticks it over for me. So I mentor broadly in two spaces. The one is I give my time off for free in certain environments where the ethos of that program definitely appeals to me. Yes. So whether it's in education or whether it's building up entrepreneurs and the like, I'll give off my time. There are certain other programs where there is a monetary consideration for that. But in both of these spaces, my lens is sort of very simple and very clear. Why do you want to be mentored?
Sure.
And if you can't answer that question in its most simplest form, then you're not ready for it.
Wow.
I'm happy to give my time to lots of people. I would get on average 15 to 20 requests a month.
Oh, wow.
And I say no more often, only because I haven't heard a compelling reason why they actually want to be chatting to me. For me, one of the key benefits of mentoring is I get to learn a lot more than the mentees learn.
Really?
It sounds really, really strange. So, not to bring age into the equation necessarily, a lot of the mentees that I've worked with over the last many years, age group 24 to 30, 35, good 20, 25 years younger than me, but that's my opportunity. I'm learning from a different generation, how they think, how they view life, how are they solving problems. That helps me become better in the way I solve problems.
Wow.
So for me, part of getting into a mentorship journey and a mentorship relationship is I also need to benefit from that. It's not one-way traffic.
Yeah.
For me, it's about two-way traffic.
That's beautiful. I think also for someone who has so much experience, the natural thing to think is that this person knows everything, but it's perspective, which is such a good approach. Now, as an investor, you get a lot of probably pitches and people who pitch to you and say, this is a great opportunity, I would like you to invest in it. What do you think are one of the mistakes that first-time pitchers make and how can they improve on that?
One. Probably talk one, maybe two.
You can.
I think the first and perhaps the biggest mistake that a lot of people make when they're pitching is they assume the pitch event is the event where you're getting the money. Right? It's actually not the case.
I thought that.
Yeah, the pitch event is where you're starting to build a relationship so that you can get the second meeting and the third meeting and the fourth meeting. So think about pitching as business dating.
Nice.
Sounds crude, sounds a bit wrong, but it's business dating. You're getting into bed with somebody that you don't know, may not have a relationship with for the long term. Now, if you're doing something for the long term, it can't be, well, I'm pitching, please give me the money. I need to build a relationship. I need to understand who you are. You need to understand who I am. What's my reason for my business? So for me, I think that's the first thing. Don't be too much in a hurry to go and get the money. That's the first thing. Second thing, be really passionate about what you're talking about. It must come across. Right? Don't... That doesn't quite cut it.
It doesn't sell it.
Doesn't sell anything. Investors buy into entrepreneurs because of the entrepreneur. At the early stage, the idea is secondary. which sounds strange. The idea is actually secondary. The real issue is, can that individual make a go of that idea in that business?
Wow.
So it's more about the individual and less about the idea at the early stage.
Because the individual at the end of the day would be the one who pushes that specific idea and is passionate about that idea.
They'll have a good reason for wanting to be in that business.
Wow. Okay, I'm stealing that one as well. So being a CA and business strategist, you understand the business around capital and growing, and keeping those funds at bay. When organizations are in, the valley of death, what would you say are those common pitfalls during that time, and how can they overcome it? I know it's probably a tough question because there's no one size fits all, but just, based on your experience, what would you say would be the best way to navigate that?
By the time you've identified the problem, it's too late, right? So you needed to have been thinking about this 3 months, 6 months, 9 months ago, right?
Sure.
And no matter how much of cash or otherwise you have in your business, you always got to be forward planning, right? In any environment. And the forward planning is at least 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. So if you've got to the point where I've really got no cash, the problem actually started before that. So part of avoiding that is to actually regularly, whether it's weekly, every 2 weeks, every month, assess, do I have enough cash in the business? What's my sales pipeline looking? Can I actually service these customers? All of those types of things. It's a regular thing. It's not a once a year event. Or now I've run out of cash, I can't pay my creditors. It's a build-up.
Sure.
Because you can't today suddenly work out, well, I don't have enough money to pay my creditors. That problem started whenever, way back when. So for me, it's not actually at that point, what do I do, or things like that. It's that those actions and activities you need to take to prevent that situation from happening.
Sure.
There are times, COVID taught us a very important lesson. No matter how much you plan, COVID overtook the entire globe. Not only us, it took over everybody else. Best will and intent, we would not have planned for COVID, and we did not plan for COVID.
Sure.
Which means now you've got to start thinking out of the box.
Nice. Now, would you, it's just another question that I'm putting in. For someone who comes to you and says, this is what I'm facing in my business, would you suggest that they close down, or would they seek rescue? Is there a point of return?
There are always multiple options. Closing down your business is one of many options. Let's start to go back to basics, right? The first thing is, you've been in business, whether it's a day, a week, 5 years, 10 years, you've got something going.
Yeah.
Whether it's a product or a solution or a service you're providing, somebody's buying it. And hopefully multiple people are buying it. So go back and revisit it. What's that value proposition that I'm taking to the market? And are there still people out there that are willing to buy into this value proposition? So that's the first thing. Secondly, go and seek some advice. Talk to people. There are a number of people that may have been in a similar situation that have basically walked out of that, walked their way out of that. That's the second thing. Thirdly, when you get to those points, it's a different journey. Nothing's going to happen overnight. It'll take you 6 months to a year to work yourself out of that.
Sure.
Cost management becomes very, very important. You've got to then work out nice to haves versus the must haves, right? Do I need fancy offices, or do I need to move away from my offices? I'm going to use a practical example. Not that in my one business we actually faced this. We were in premises in Sandton pre-COVID, signed a long-term lease, COVID hit.
Sure.
For the first 20 months, and I'm the closest to that office, I personally went into that office 5 times. So I'm paying rental for a space that I was not utilizing.
Sure.
When the lease expired, I chose not to renew the lease with my business partner. Besides saving the cost, we just got into a new way of working. But at some level, we were predicting and forecasting that even if we do keep these offices at whatever the rental is, it's an additional financial burden. And to what extent do I actually need these offices? I'm using technology as an example. Do I need a Windows-based machine that does the job, or do I need an Apple Mac at the top end? I'm just using that by way of example because aspirationally, everybody wants to have top of everything. I use Apple Mac as an example. I'm plugged into the Apple world.
Yeah.
Right? I have a MacBook. It's expensive, right? A Windows machine does the same job, and in certain instances, probably even better.
True.
So you don't have to keep up with the Joneses to be in business. You've got to do what's right for your business.
Very key. So speaking of technology, I'm going to chat about AI. We know that it's growing. It's part of our day-to-day lives. How would you say what value would you bring that AI does not?
Yeah, so I bring the non-tech lens into tech people. Sounds really strange, talking AI. Remember, AI is a really great enabler to help us become more efficient. It can't give us the answer, in my personal view.
Sure.
It helps us get to answers quicker, better, faster, with more data, with more information. We can predict things slightly differently. The human interface is still there. So the one thing I often emphasize is use technology, including things like AI, including things like machine learning and whatever it is, to get more efficient about the way you run your business. The human interface is still required. In my consulting business, technology does a lot of stuff for me. It really does a lot of stuff. It does a lot of my analysis and whatever it is. But that thought process in terms of what to advise the client, the human brain is needed for it.
Yeah, and we cannot replace that.
To a large extent, you can't. And again, for me, this notion of technology and AI, it just allows us to be super efficient. It does not necessarily fully replace what you've historically done.
Yeah.
When I started working, and I have to share this, we wrote everything down in the late 80s. There was no computers. There was no computers.
Yeah.
I mean, so when I started my audit articles, we only got computers in the second year.
Sure.
What did we do? Piece of paper, etc., calculator,
Yeah.
do all of that type of stuff.
I think everyone would probably get a heart attack if all technology fails. They think that they'll probably die. But look at the advancement now. So it's all about adapting. Okay, brilliant. So lastly, I would love you to share a quote that represents who you are as Sanjay Soni. You can share more than one, but the one that you live by on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, I guess for me, this one's actually something very simple. What can I do today and every single day to change the life or positively impact the life of at least one other person? Every single day, I strive to do one good thing for at least one other person. And small gestures. Smile at people at the robot. Have extra food in your car, give it to somebody else. You fill up petrol, instead of tipping them 2 Rand, why not tip them 20 Rand? The simplest things bring so much of joy to people. I smile a lot at people and they must think, what's wrong with this guy? But funny enough, people smile back at you.
Nice, yeah.
You stop at a robo and let people cross over. Because I'm a runner, I find then people stopping for me when I'm on the road. So for me, it's actually very simple. Every day, I strive to do something positive for at least one other person.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you for your kind words and your expertise. It was really appreciated, and we will be looking out for you on the socials, and all the best with everything.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.